something really interesting is happening in UK politics. Let me give you a little bit of context. So remember this debate between Tommy Robinson, Lawrence Fox, and a couple other guys versus Muslims at the Oxford Union, where they were debating the motion whether the West should be wary of Islam. Does Islam have a nefarious agenda? Does Islam want to take over the West? Should the Westerners be concerned about the growing influence of Islam? So this brilliant Muslim woman, this one, she single-handedly scored one of the biggest massive own goals in the history of debates. This video has had, look at this, 12.6 million views, okay? 12.6 million views. And without even watching the debate, a lot of people are saying, see, that's what we tell you. Islam is not good for the West. Here's why.
Stephen Yaxley Lennon, known to his hooligans as Tommy Robinson. Stephen, there is a crowd outside rioting against you tonight, and without the protection and generosity of a Muslim Palestinian president and a mostly South Asian executive committee, you would be quite literally cooked.
Look at the reaction of Lawrence Fox. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Literally cooked.
And all these people. So you see that she clapped. That man's like, I don't think that's a good. Oh, look at Tommy's face. I don't think that's a good point to make, especially when you're trying to tell the world that no, Islam is a religion of peace. You guys don't have to worry about us. So I know, and I'll break it down to you why this young woman said what she said, and why Tommy Robinson is actually defending her. Because, believe it or not, she's getting death threats from Muslims for blowing Islam's cover. No, I'm exaggerating. I don't know about death threats from Muslims or not. But obviously, a lot of people are trolling her, and they're saying, well done. Thank you for proving to us that Islam is a religion followed by a bunch of barbarians. That we have to thank your leaders, that your hooligans, your thugs are not killing us on the streets. Thank you, Muslim leaders. That's not a good look, honey. So Tommy Robinson has come out and he is trying to defend her, and I'll tell you why Tommy Robinson is actually wrong for once.
As I lay here catching up on the comments from the Oxford Union, what can I say? Aisha, the first girl, I spoke to her at length that night.
Before or after, Tommy?
Length. About her family, her dad, where she went to school. She was actually really, really nice. She was a lovely girl. I think her comment at the start was naive. I don't think she meant it the way it's being received.
No, she meant it exactly how it's been received. However, that's not what she personally believes in. There's a difference, and I'll tell you why. What she said is a very common belief system amongst Muslims. Let's just say amongst Islam. So think about it as a hierarchy of things, yeah? So at the top, you have Islam, and then you have Muslim scholars, and down at the bottom, you have Muslims. She is down at the bottom. She's just an ordinary Muslim who's conflicted and confused, trying to find out where she belongs in the West. She's wearing modern clothes. Even Muhammad Hijab has come out in her defense. Why that is, I'll tell you why that is. Why it actually makes sense. And then all Muslims are raised with certain beliefs and values and viewpoints. Those viewpoints and beliefs come right from Islam, and they filter down through Muslim scholars down to Muslims, individual Muslims. And that's why you will see this huge variation between lipstick Muslims, radical Muslims, Muslims who don't care, liberal Muslims, etc. Because it depends on where did that Muslim get his Islamic knowledge from. So she's obviously at the Oxford Union and she's not wearing a burqa or anything. So I can tell you she's more of a liberal Muslim. But why would she make a threat like that? Which is very odd for Western ears to hear. Why would she say that? It's true. Tommy's a good judge of character. She doesn't really mean it. She personally doesn't mean it. But it is a very prevalent view in Islam that people who criticize Islam or Muhammad or anyone that is holy to them, they deserve to be killed. So they're like, oh, you know what, guys? And I'm sure you've seen that meme where it goes something like, I'm a moderate Muslim. Please don't insult Islam. Otherwise, that radical Muslim will kill you. Again, that moderate Muslim does not want to see someone killed. They actually don't want to see it in person. But when they hear about it, they're going to say, oh, well. Tommy, let me tell you this. She may not want it, but if the news of your passing at the hands of a Muslim mob reached her ear, now she's spoken to you, so it might be a bit different, but she'd say, that's why you shouldn't mess with people's religions. That's what she would say. That would be her go-to reaction. That's the difference, Tommy. So you're judging her as a person, but unfortunately, she's a cog in a very evil machine. And that machine guides her hand. That machine guides her tongue and brain.
And I'm being honest, I honestly don't. People may think I'm naive.
You are naive.
Yeah, I think I'm a good judge of character. She was really nice. She was really, really nice. I didn't take any negativity from her. Obviously, look, in a debate like that, it's a performance at the same time.
I agree.
She's performing to try and win an argument on behalf of her religion. She's fucked up, majorly fucked up with those comments. But I don't think, in fact, I'm pretty sure she hasn't, I know what she said, but she hasn't meant for it to be received like that. I feel a bit, out of all of the people there, out of all of the people arguing, there was a few like pro-jihadi mugs on that panel. She wasn't one of them.
But she's on that team, Tommy. She's in that team. So whatever that team decides, she will eventually roll with them. Because above all, the top priority is to protect Islam, protect the Islamic agenda. So she's not going to rebel and she's not going to say that, oh, okay, we don't want to do it. Look, as I said, individually, she may not want it, but she's programmed to think like this. This is a video I wanted to play before and then I forgot.
Tolerate the disrespect of our Prophet, peace be upon him, and there will be outcomes from your actions. You will have repercussions for your actions. We have been trained from birth that we must defend the honor of our Prophet, and we will lay our life on the line.
See, this is where you don't get it. You might think that, oh, he's just one of those radical Muslims. You don't understand. You non-Muslims don't understand how Muhammad has always been drawn as a red line. See, he's saying we've been trained from birth that we must defend the honor of our Prophet. That is so true. You don't get it. Even when I was a Muslim, I was a very liberal Muslim. No one in my distant family could be even misunderstood to be a radical. Nobody had a beard. None of our aunties or relatives wore any burqas or niqabs or even hijabs. But even in our family, Muhammad is the red line. If someone crosses that, this is why you must have heard this from Muslims, that, oh, you can insult my mother, you can insult my father, but do not insult my Prophet because there will be repercussions. That's what she's trained with. Now, does she have the power to pull the trigger? I probably would think no. But do not undermine it and don't think that you're putting your Western hat on, your Western hat of individualism. It's a very unique Western notion to be individualistic. That, oh, we're going to judge a person individually. We're going to look at him as an individual. But Islam works on a completely different operating system. Islam doesn't work that way. Islam is a very collectivist ideology. And that, yeah, I think that's what you're missing. Tommy's right about her, but he's wrong to give it a free pass, because maybe this is the time for her to go back and think, okay, I thought that I said it as a lighthearted joke because that is a common belief amongst Muslims that, hey, I will eat him alive. Yeah, you know, that's just Pakistani, but I'm sure Africa will have an equivalent expression. So they say those things which are still embedded in their national psyche, in their cultural psyche. Not every person does it, but they think that it is acceptable.
She was a really nice girl.
Oh. Tommy, are you in love?
That's what I took from that night. Outside of the argument, look, we're having a debate about political beliefs, but I think that any hard time or negative image she's receiving from the comments she made, I don't think she meant those comments in that way.
That's very nice of you, Tommy. And I think Tommy, again, is... because he's a very good person. He's a very good person. I just don't get it why people hate him so much, and then they provoke him and they walk up to him, and, you know, of course, when when they team off, I reckon I'd be very similar to him. I'd be teeing off if someone called me anything without knowing me or just saying something like see you next Tuesday or something. I might confront that person. I might not. I don't know. They say people who grow a little bit famous, they should develop a thicker skin. So the other day there was a video of Tommy just harassing someone who tried to harass him. But he's a very good person deep down. He's genuinely, he doesn't want that girl to attract all that hate that she's getting right now, because he's thinking about that nice conversation that he had with her. And I'm sure, and I know why Tommy feels that, because I saw him talk to Nuria Khan, and he was very interested in listening to her experiences as a Muslim, as someone on the other side, how they were perceiving the EDL or how they were interpreting Tommy's actions. And Tommy was more interested in learning from that and then connecting on a human-to-human level. So I think that's exactly what's happening with Tommy. But I'm just zooming out a little bit. If Tommy, if you watch this video, you're right to feel bad for her, and your character assessment of that woman, young woman, is, I would agree with it. It's mostly correct. But what we need to target is that thought that casually came in her mind. I'm telling you, it is a very casual thought. It's a very normal way of thinking. If she hadn't spoken to you and the day before she had heard that someone had lynched you, some Muslim, or even not a Muslim, someone else, she would have been like, yeah, well, that's what you get. F around, find out. They're not raised with this value that we need to be able to criticize other people's ideas, mock them, reject them, and we need to use speech. This is a very unique tradition that has been uniquely developed in the West. It's debating political opponents. These rigorous debates have been going on for a very long time. To some extent, they happen in the Muslim world too, but the West mastered it. So yeah, I think she doesn't get it. Anyway.
Is that right? I don't think she meant them in the way that they're being played. That's truthful, because I did speak to her at length about her family, about her upbringing, about her beliefs, about her education. And as
I know exactly how the conversation would have gone.
I said, what I took away from that night was that she was a very, very nice girl.
Okay. Well, Tommy posted that yesterday, and then he just posted another video today. I don't know what's going on. So this one is a lot longer, so I'm not going to interrupt you. You've got my point already, so I'm just going to play this video and see what he has to say.
Recently, I spoke at Oxford University, and there's part of that debate that has gone global, and it's to do with the first female speaker who spoke after me, a girl called Aisha. Now, listen to what she said.
Stephen Yaxley Lennon, known to his hooligans as Tommy Robinson. Stephen, there is a crowd outside rioting against you tonight, and without the protection and generosity of a Muslim Palestinian president and a mostly South Asian executive committee, you would be quite literally cooked.
And I would say 100%, and I should have said this 4 days ago when it first came out. And I feel bad because I point scored because she was on the side of Islam. And I allowed what I know not to be true to continue momentum, which is a misrepresentation of what that girl meant. And I know that 100%. I do not doubt it.
That's not your job, Tommy.
For a minute, yeah?
You're making a... I know I said I wouldn't get involved, but I have to say this. You're making an assessment based on your 5, 10, half an hour interaction with that woman. But there is a bigger point. There are different layers to this behavior as well. And you giving her this free pass negates all those extra layers as well, which is a cultural problem for Islam. Anyone who's attacking that girl, they're not attacking her because she's got horns on her head. They're attacking her because of that statement, which is reflective of the wider, very known Islamic position. So, no, you don't need to be saying that, oh, that's not what she meant. That's not your job. I can understand you made one video in her defense, but now you're making another one. And it's just again, you're not doing the wrong thing. I accept your characterization of her, but you're going over the top here because it's the culture that needs to be targeted and rightly called out. And she needs to understand that. So she may change her behavior in the future. And you might branch off. There might be a splinter Muslim group of young Muslims who might say, you know what, this is actually a very bad policy, and that this is actually a very bad value that we casually say that, or anyone who insults Muhammad, we should behead them, or we should, eat them alive or something, because they say that. So a group of Muslims might emerge from that and they say, you know what, this value is very problematic for us, even though we don't believe in it, but because it's embedded in our psyche, that's why we just blurt it out, and that's not received nicely, and that makes us look bad. Therefore, we're not going to use it anymore. So so that might happen because of this. So keep the pressure up, Tommy.
Wasn't a threat. Now, everyone who's listened to it is
Not a
running
threat.
stories saying that Muslim girl threatens Tommy Robinson. It wasn't a threat. I know 100% she didn't mean it as a threat. If it's been interpreted as a threat, it wasn't a threat. So...
No, it's not a threat from her personally. She didn't. No, I didn't say it like that either. There's some guys out there who are waiting to kill you. She was look at the words. She actually said, if it weren't for the Palestinian guy and this other South Asian great Muslim, then that would have happened. She's basically describing you how angry the Muslim community is, or how they are likely to behave. She has removed herself from the equation, and she's telling you, hey, I'm just telling you what's going to happen. But instead of siding with you, she's siding with her great fellow Palestinian Muslim and the South Asian Muslim. That's who she's siding with.
I want to clear that up because I spent most of the night talking to that girl. Yeah, she was lovely. You couldn't meet a nicer girl. Okay, and I also, do you know what? I felt really bad for her because her parents and her family were coming. Think about this from her perspective. Yeah, she's a Muslim. Okay, she's not going to agree with me, and she's born into the identity of a Muslim. She's brought up as a Muslim. So I think about it from her point of view. She's there facing the biggest opposition to Islam there is. It's a big moment for her as a young girl. Yeah, she's my daughter's age. Yeah, so it's a big moment for her, and her parents and family will come in to watch her perform because it is a performance. A debate like that is a performance.
Yes,
everyone's
I agree.
playing up for it. Everyone's making comments, but I 100% categorically know that girl did not mean that as a threat.
She wrote it down, though. She was writing it off her written speech, Tommy. It wasn't an off-the-cuff remark. It is a reflection of Muslim behavior. That's all it is. We can go past her, but everyone is focused on the propensity and the attraction of violence in Islam. That's the bigger point, Tommy.
Also, something to clear up: there wasn't a mob of Islamists outside the court, outside the university. It wasn't a Muslim mob. It was a far left, woke, white, liberal, pathetic, middle class mob. Yeah, it wasn't Muslims. So when people are listening to a Muslim woman talk about that and say I'd get cooked, I can see how it can be taken as that. Yeah, but it wasn't that. 1,000,000%. So I know that girl, and I should have said something earlier because I can only imagine for the last 4 days when I know she didn't mean that. I know that. I should have said something 4 days ago. I know she didn't mean that. She knows she didn't mean that. But yet the whole world's taking it that she meant that. I've been in that position, yeah, where your words are being taken out of context and then weaponized. And I guess I allowed it to be weaponized. So I apologize, Aisha. If you're watching this, I apologize because I know you didn't mean that. And I should have spoke up from the first minute. I was too interested in point scoring on the side of us against Islam, which is a wanker move because I knew you didn't mean it. So I want to put my name to it, that anyone talking and saying that Aisha, that young girl, was threatening me or using it as a threat, it was naive wording from a young girl whose family, by the way, got attacked outside. So when she's talking that way, they got attacked. Not by my supporters. I made that very clear. And do you know what? If you listen to how I started my speech, I actually congratulated that girl because I know how nervous she was. I know what a big moment it is to speak at something like that. I know how nervous I was. And I know that her family would have been proud to see her standing there debating the way she debated. And they didn't get to see it. So take religion out of it. Take our politics out of it. Take all of it out of it. She's a fucking young girl who stood up on a stage.
We can't take it out.
Which is a difficult position for a young Muslim girl. And she was absolutely lovely away from that performance and that debate. So I congratulate her on her speech, and I want you to take this moment for everyone who's listening to this, who trusts in what I say, to set the record straight. She did not mean it as a threat. I've also continued. I kept contact with some of the English students, the white English students.
She didn't mean it as a threat. She just explained to her explained to him what would happen to him, because she knows her community better than you do, Tommy. Well, actually, you know it too. She's just telling you what Muslims will do to you, and she hasn't got a problem with it. At some level, she might have a problem, but her personal problem doesn't matter. We're talking about Islam, not necessarily her.
Students who I spoke to at the university and met at the university that night, who are friends with Aisha, who cannot speak highly enough of the girl, what a beautiful girl she is, what a wonderful soul she is, and that she doesn't have an extreme bone in her body. Yeah. As I said, she's defending. We disagree with her stance. Of course we do. Yeah. She's fighting for Islam and she's a Muslim. So we disagree with her. Yeah. We fundamentally disagree with her. But to watch something be spun globally against a young girl who didn't intend that meaning, I'm repeating myself now, but I just want to reiterate very strongly that it was not meant as a threat, and she could have been nicer. So I think the comments or the pile-on about something that is not the right spin on what she was saying. Silly words used, yeah, and not thought about, but who would think about it at that age? You're not expecting this much attention to what you're saying. But anyway, that's me clearing it up. So just want to clear it up. If you're seeing this in the comments, if you're seeing the story still having fire behind it, that I was threatened by a Muslim girl or a student at a university, and she...
Look at that. Look who she's getting admired by. Muhammad Hijab. He posted this. This is the image which agitates the far right the most. Look at that. Muhammad Hijab is speaking up in favor of a young, modern-looking Muslim woman, well-spoken, well-educated, no burqa, no hijab, no abaya, no... Not even a mere expression of even symbolic Islam. Look at it. Yeah. Muhammad Hijab hates these kind of Muslim women. He hates these kind of women, period. His boyfriend, Ali Dawa, makes his wife talk to him via a whiteboard, and you can't see her face. Those people are liking her. Why? Because she can say what she said. Meaning, again, remove her from the equation. She's just a tool. He's looking at it, oh, we can use these modern people, modern Muslims too. Because you got to understand, Islam is going to splinter into many factions as well, in the West as well. You're going to have these hardliners, like these pro-jihadi, yeah, Islam will enter every house. And then you're going to have these lipstick Muslims who don't want to get in bed with Muhammad Hijabs of the world, but also they want to maintain their Muslim identity. So they have to keep all of that together as well, which is why it's natural for Muhammad Hijab to admire this woman, even though up until this point, they have never supported women like her. He's saying this is the image which agitates the far right the most. An intelligent Muslim woman, you like intelligent Muslim women to be locked inside your houses and make you babies. What are you talking about? An intelligent Muslim woman who refuses the role of victim and stands up to make the case for her people. This is what I said. I said, bro, she doesn't believe in any of the shit that you espouse or believe in. You don't even like this kind of strong women. Are you going to allow your daughters to debate men? Like, it's such a... Anyway, so disaster for them. I understand why Tommy said that. He's a nice person. He likes to connect with people on a personal level. He's a very good person. I don't think people who get to see him up close will have any other opinion. Not perfect, but on a human-to-human level, he's a good person. You can trust him on many things. He's not going to rat you out. He's not going to throw you under the bus. Sometimes, like he's been through a lot. I've never been in his shoes. He actually made another video. I might talk about it later. People were making fun of him that he's a bit fidgety. He's a bit jumpy. Is he on drugs again? Blah, blah, blah. And then he said, I was in solitary confinement for so freaking long, and he has a psychiatric evaluation. Why he puts on such a brave face that we forget what happened in the past. I don't know. I can't live a day. I am a solitary animal. I'm a solitary tiger. But if I don't have my gadgets with me, I'd go crazy. And these people have spent time in solitary confinement for so long, and we don't even know. But I understand Tommy's good intentions, but Tommy, you're focusing too much on her. You got to focus on what she represents